To determine the issues that you need to fix, we want to make sure we're in the outputs up at the top, and any of them that are in red are the ones that have issues that we need to fix. And they're in different categories, whether it's the body, axles and wheels, or the power. First one we're going to do is the bottom of the axle hole above the bottom of the car. Right now my design says I'm 0.8 and the minimum I need is 5 millimeters. We go to engineering, and for this one we want to look at the side view of the car, and more specifically the lower profile. And what we're looking for is the axle hole, which you can see we're zooming in on. And it said that it was 0.8 from the bottom of that axle hole to the bottom of the car, and the minimum is 5. So in order to fix that, we're going to need to go into the lower profile. And we want to turn on the view and also the wrench so that we can adjust it. By simply dragging that down to the bottom, to the base, it adds more material underneath the axle hole. And by just doing that, it fixes it and it's no longer in red. I know that the back is the same way, so I'm going to do the same thing. Now if I want the middle part of the car to go up and remove more material there, that's fine, as long as I leave it down at the bottom below the axle holes. Checking the outputs again, and both of those are fixed. The next one we're going to work with is the width of the body at the rear axle. At 36.3 and 37 is the minimum, so I'm pretty close. To get to the width of the body, right now we're looking at the side view, which shows us the height and the length. But to actually get to the width, we need to switch to the top profile. Now we're looking at the length and the width, and it's the width of the body at the rear axle. Now, the way that the top profile works is that it is a mirror, so whatever you do to the bottom, it automatically does the same thing to the top. And there's a number off to the right side that continually changes as you move your mouse, and so that is half of what we need it to be. So our minimum on this one was 37, so we need to adjust this to at least half of that, which would be 18.5. So if we move one of those notches to 18.5, then it will set it to 37 total. And by just moving it out there, you can see it's 12, 15, 17, 18, 19. By just setting it towards the base, it allows us to make sure that we have it as wide as we need it to be where the axles are, and that took care of that issue. The front axle was already fine, so we don't need to make any adjustments there. Now, power refers to our CO2 cartridge, so that means that all these things underneath it are referring to CO2 cartridge hole. The wall thickness is the first one we'll work on. I'm at 0 and I need to be at least 4 millimeters. So the wall thickness is all that material creating a wall around that CO2 cartridge. And it actually goes all the way to the front of that hole. I'm going to turn off the rough solid so that I can see where my line goes in reference to the CO2 cartridge hole. As you can see at the front of the hole, I'm actually cutting the front corner of it off. So I need to make sure I can move that. I'm going to move that up so it gives it some room around the CO2 cartridge hole. I'll check my outputs, and that puts me at 3.5, so it's a big improvement, but that's just, we've only done the upper profile. We now can check the lower profile, and we can see that we're a little bit close there, so we'll move that one down. And we also want to check the top profile, which again, we're just a little bit close. So now if we move that one away, check our outputs, it should say that we are fine. Yes, the wall thickness has been fixed. So now we're going to work on the hole depth. The hole depth is referring to how deep that CO2 cartridge hole goes. That's not something that you can change as far as how far that hole is drilled in, but what you can change is your car design. So we want to look at where the back edge of the car is, and on this top profile we see that it's been pulled forward. So we want to click on that and drag it all the way back. We want to make sure that the lower profile and the upper profile are both pulled all the way back. Check the outputs, and it should be good to go.